Welcome back, sinners, to another episode of Saturday Night Cinema. As always, I'm your host, Sawyer St. Sim. And tonight, we're going to be talking about a movie that is pretty spectacular. It's pretty awesome. The tagline that I picked out, it has a lot of taglines, but the tagline that I picked out is "Evil begets evil on the Sabbath of the Undead." Doesn't that sound a little romantic? Anyways, it is the Satanic Rites of Dracula, a horror film done by Hammer Productions, of course. It was released in the US on October 1978, but this is actually from 73, 74. It came out in England, of course, first. But in America, it came out under the name of Count Dracula and His Vampire Bride. And 4 minutes of the movie had been cut out. I don't know what 4 minutes I really want to see, because I watched this on a channel that I found on the Roku that I have, and it's called Ray Gun. Check it out. Find it on your smart TV, your Roku, whatever. It's pretty cool. It's got a lot of horror and science fiction things on it that aren't really anywhere else. That's the only place that I could find this movie. Now, Tubi does have the movie, the US release with the 4 minutes cut out on their channel. But like I said, I don't know what 4 minutes they cut out. I'm gonna have to check it out on Tubi just to see if it was something that's poignant to the plot line, or if it's just some filler that they were let's just nick that right out. I don't know. Anyways, so our director is Alan Gibson. The screenplay writer is Don Houghton. Guys, it wouldn't be a Saturday Night Cinema without me screwing up some names and fumbling around a little bit, right? Welcome. Okay, now, our cast. I mean, it's kind of like a who's who of British movies in general, not just the horror scene. But so we have Mr. Christopher Lee as Dracula. This is the 7th movie that he's played Dracula in, and it was his last that he did for Hammer as Dracula. And then we have Peter Cushing as Professor Lemire von Helsing. So not Lawrence von Helsing. That's the normal Von Helsing that everyone thinks of, the gun happy crazy person who's, going after Dracula. But this Van Helsing is way more book intelligent. He's a thinker. He's a scientist. He's a professor of anthropology at the university. He's one smart cookie. And I mean, Peter Cushing seems like he'd be one smart cookie as well, so it probably wasn't a very big stretch for him. Anywho, and then we have Michael Coles as Inspector Murray, William Franklin as Torrance, Freddie Jones as Professor Julian Keeley. Yes, Keeley. Joanna Lumley as Jessica Van Helsing, so Peter Cushing's granddaughter. And then Barbara Yaling as Chen Yang. And then there's some other, like, supporting roles. But these are the key players that we're going to talk about. So just to get into, some trivia facts, as I like to do, this movie is actually the sequel to Dracula AD 1972. Which I didn't know going into this, and I've seen like the trailer for Dracula like AD 1972, but I haven't watched it yet. But this is supposed to be like the direct sequel. And so, real quick rundown of Dracula AD 1972 is that a lot of businessmen, prominent businessmen, their secretaries are going missing, and no one really knows what's up. But Von Helsing and Inspector Murray, both of them are in that, and they fight Dracula, and supposedly Dracula dies. But now 2 years later, he is back. So now I'm going to have to actually watch Dracula AD 1972. I have heard really terrible things from it, from the critics, but listen, sometimes critics are wrong. I'm just saying. Sometimes something that everyone can't stand, Lords of Salem, is actually an amazing movie. So, like I said before, this is Christopher Lee's 7th movie for Dracula for Hammer, and the last. There's actually 8 movies total in their Dracula series. So Christopher Lee is Dracula in 7 of them. Peter Cushing is Von Helsing in 4 of the 8. And this was the last movie, of the Dracula series that they did. It takes place in, 1974. Like I said, 2 years after, Dracula AD 1972. So you see, Dracula in modern day. Where, if you've read Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I haven't, but I know a lot of people who have. Haha. And so I know a couple tidbits, and in there it does mention something about wanting to rule over London in pretty much a future time period, and so I like to see the Dracula in a present day. Now, I know it's not present day now, because this was done in the 70s, but more modern times. I like those movies. I think they're cool. I like to see what people can do with a character that really just everyone just likes to do period pieces with. It's interesting. Now, with saying that, I kind of wanted Dracula to look a little cooler, a little more 70s, fitted suit. He looked dapper. It's Christopher Lee. Of course he looked dapper. But I was hoping that they would, modernize him just a little bit more than what they did. Anywho, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the story. And I've got notes here because I had to write it down to make it make sense in my brain to regurgitate to you guys, because it does some scenes jump around a little bit, and so I'm maybe referring to my notes from time to time. So let's start off with the opening titles. Okay, so the opening credits is just different shots of London, and there's a little figure of Dracula, his shadow, And at first he starts real small, and then he gets bigger and bigger and bigger until like his shadow engulfs the whole screen. So I like that kind of foreboding like ambiance that they kind of like have going there. And so we cut to what looks to be a satanic ritual. We've got a naked girl laying on a sacrificial like altar, and a chicken, and a bunch of dudes sitting around in white hoods, like not hoods, you had capes, sorry. Different kind of movie there. So they're in white capes, and they've got, you know, red, like blood crosses. It's blood. It's chicken blood, but it's blood. Red inverted crosses on their forehead. So yeah, they kill the chicken, and they let all the blood like run down onto this lady. And so we cut to secret agent, undercover agent. He is tied up. He's been beaten and tortured. It's terrible. Looks like he's like on his last leg. But somehow he's able to free his hands and choke out the guard who is, you know, in his room, watching him. And he creeps down the hallway, passes by the main guard, like, monitor room, down the stairs and out the front door. But, wait, he trips the alarm. Because they have one of those, like, motion detectors, you know, down at the, like, doorway. So he trips it. Oh, gosh. And an armed motorcyclist starts chasing after him, and we cut to like some car with a gun like pointing out, you know, the window. We don't know who it is yet, but headshot to the motorcyclist, and the agent is still trying to get away. He is able to make it out of the gate of the establishment and into the car that's awaiting for him, and off they go. So it turns out that like after the events of Dracula AD 1972, the like equivalent to the FBI, but you know, in England, are starting a like investigation into this particular house, and it is the Pilum House of Psychic Experimentations. I mean, what kind of psychic experimentations are going on with vampires? I'm curious. I want to know. Because, I mean, I'm not a vampire, but, I mean, sounds fun. You dig in my brain, you're going to just find that there's like it's useless. There's just a ton of useless information in there. You're not going to really get much of anything. I mean, it's an empty void in there some days. But, so, they get him back to headquarters. He tells them that he witnessed the satanic ritual in which, you know, the chicken was killed and then a girl was sacrificed. So, yes, they end up shoving a dagger into her heart, killing her. But then, like, a little while later, she raises up and the wound and the blood that was hers is all gone. And she's just like, here we are. I am fine. So, I mean, obviously we know she's a vampire. Because vampires are the only ones that can, you know, heal wounds like that. Regular ass people can't do that. You know? And if you can, I think you need to be experimented on. Anyways, so, and he is able to describe to them the 5 prominent businessmen that he saw there. And when I say prominent businessmen, I mean guys who are really close to the government and know government secrets. We're talking like really high up there people. One is a Nobel Prize winner, for Christ's sakes, is wrapped up in this like satanic cult worship situation. And so they take the hard drive from his hidden camera watch situation, and they're actually able to identify 4 of the 5 people. Why only 4 of the 5, you may ask? Well, the 5th one, there's nobody in the photo. There's nobody in the photo. Door's wide open. Nobody in the photo. So, that's obviously Dracula. I'm just saying. It's obviously Dracula. Who else would it be? But, like, just after, like, he tells them all this stuff, he dies. Which, I'm even surprised he made it out of that house the way he was looking. He looked rough. So, seeing as how one of the people, like, in there is, like, really close to their agency that they're, like, working for, they call upon Inspector Murray, who is with Scotland Yard. And they bring him in and they, show him the slides of what the guy had, and he's like, oh, well, I think that we should consult with Professor von Holsing because he is like a master of, the occult and occult affairs. So they do just that. They head on over. Torrance and Murphy head on over to Mr. Van Helsing's office, where they talk to him about what's going on, and he realizes one of his really good friends that he went to college with, Mr. Julian Keeley, is involved in this, and so he's like, hey, can I go talk to him, see what's going on, see what's up? So Van Helsing pays him a visit, and like I said, y'all, Keeley is a Nobel Prize winner for humanity in science. So it's perplexing to Van Helsing as to why this upstanding scientist is doing things in this satanic ritual thing. So he goes to the facility, the foundation, where he knows that he can find Julian. And while he's there talking to him, he finds out, he doesn't figure it out, Keeley basically tells him what's up, but he has perfected a radioactive, accelerated strand, I guess is the technical word for it, strand of the bubonic plague that spreads by touch and could wipe out a nation in less than a week. So, Von Helsing is just well, why are you doing this? He's trying to figure out what's going on when a henchman comes into the office and shoots Van Helsing, and as Van Helsing comes to, he sees that Keeley has been hung. So no more figuring out what's up with Keeley because he's dead. Meanwhile, behind the facade of this innocent looking that's something different. That got into a whole nother like area of like my nerdiness that, anyways. Meanwhile, Inspector Murphy, Jessica, and Torrance are going to the Pelham house to figure out like what's going on, what's up. They go in through the basement and they find a little treasure trove of female vampires. There's like at least 5 of them. And one of them is actually one that works for the bureau that, you know, Torrance works for. And so she does that, you know, trick of like, oh, no, I'm fine, help me. There's nothing wrong with me, but I'm just trapped here. And so he falls for it. Like, after they already had to save Jessica from these people because, like, you know, like, the lady vampires tried to get Jessica. He tries, and she immediately, like, you know, goes vampire on him, but goes, like, really slow, so he's able to get away pretty easily. I don't know. They end up killing her. Murphy, like, you know, he's already done fighting with vampires from the previous movie. So he's like, no. Stake her. Let's get out of here. So they escape the house and like sorry, they escape the basement and the house, and while all of this is going on, again, back with Mr. Von Holsing, he has put like some information together. So he's figured out that the Keeley Foundation is funded by Denhan Corporation. And that corporation is run by D.D. Denham, who is never seen in public, who controls his empire from a building that has recently been erected on the spot of St. Barthos Church. And so that is the exact spot where Van Helsing killed Dracula in Dracula AD 1972. So Van Helsing, being the smart cookie that he is, he fashions a bullet out of a silver cross, which, like, I always thought that silver bullets were for, you know, werewolves and not vampires. But I guess I can be wrong. So he does that, and he also figures out that all of these like satanic ritual stuff, like all of this is going on before the day of the Sabbath of the Undead, which is the day that evil can basically like draw upon unspeakable horrors onto the earth. So it seems like Dracula is wanting to unleash his like accelerated like super strain of the plague onto the earth. So Von Helsing goes to the office building of D.D. Dunham. Gosh, I'm so terrible at stuff. To confront, who he suspects is going to be Dracula. He's not quite sure yet, but if he was a betting man, he'd probably bet all of his cards on the fact that it being him. So while in the office, Dracula is like trying to throw him off voice-wise, like, with like this weird little like accent. And also he has the light in his like office pointed directly towards the door and directly towards Van Helsing. But Van Helsing like knocks a couple like papers like off onto the floor. And so when he goes to pick them up, he puts like a little box of something. I'm not exactly for sure what it is. But he like puts it within the papers, and then Dracula like doesn't like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he was trying to give himself up, because I mean, I would think that he would have like suspected something. But he touches the box and it like burns him. So like Van Helsing is like, it's you. And you know, like a scuffle ensues with the businessmen. They actually like come in and like overpower Van Helsing, which is kind of funny because I mean, they're all probably about the same age. Like they're all pretty old. But they take him down and Van Helsing's trying to fire, but he misfires a silver bullet, so that's like completely gone. And Dracula orders them to, you know, take him to the house. He also orders his other henchmen to capture Jessica and Murray. Gosh, I'm sorry. His plan is to make Jessica his bride and then to unleash the plague onto the earth. He also hypnotizes one of the 4 businessmen into infecting himself with the plague. And Dracula sits there and watches him as he goes through an array of horrific symptoms that look very painful. And Dracula is laughing the whole time and looks very satisfied with himself. It's kind of creepy. It's kind of weird. It sucks for the dude. I can only imagine. So, as Dracula performs a ceremony over Jessica, like Jessica got captured, she's on the altar, Dracula's performing a ceremony. Murphy is in a fight with a guard upstairs, and he ends up like electrocuting the guard, but also in the process starting a fire to the house. And so he like rushes down, saves Jessica. You know, struggle ensues between Van Helsing and Dracula, and they both escape the fire through a window. And Van Helsing is luring Dracula into the woods. Now, I don't think that like his initial thought was like, I'm gonna get him in the woods and, you know, do something there. But I mean, it's kind of the best way to like try to lose somebody. I don't know if it's the best way to try to lose Dracula, but at least to try to lose, you know, whoever's chasing you. But he lures him right into a hawthorn bush. Now, the symbolism with the hawthorn bush, I think, is because, if I'm correct here, and I think that I am, but I'm not 100% because I'm not very religious, but I believe that the hawthorn bush is what the crown of thorns for Jesus Christ was made out of during his crucifixion. Look, when my voice goes high like that, it's because like I think that I'm right, but I don't know. So anyways, the hawthorn bush kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say that it incapacitates Dracula because he's still like pushing through it, but it does weaken him a significant amount. And while he is laying on the ground trying to get untangled from the hawthorn bush, Mr. Van Helsing grabs a fence post, and right through the heart it goes. He stakes Dracula. So as Dracula turns to dust, the house burns down, and so does all of the samples of the plague. And the world is safe. Sorry, I I had to throw that little superhero-ish sounding thing in there. Listen, I like more than just horror, and sometimes I can't contain it. So that ends the movie of this, or the main, like, you know, synopsis of the movie. I thought it was fantastic. It is great. I do suggest going and finding it out there in the wild if you can. Like I said, it's on Raygun. I found that on the Roku channel. Like, I just did a quick search and then it popped up free on this, and there I go. I watched it. Or, like I said, Tubi has the Count Dracula and his vampire bride, but you do get 4 minutes of the story cut out. So, it's up to you. Alright, it is that time. We're gonna do the drawing of what we got next. Hold on, some of these are trying to come undone, but you see it in there? I'm not looking, so I don't know what's going on, and I'm gonna pick this one. Oh, goodness. Okay, guys. So, we got another Argento. And this actually, from this, you're going to know what we're going to talk about for probably the next 3 weeks. Possibly 4. Who knows? I might just do each movie one at a time and then do a collective thing of like talking about all of them. But we will see how that plays out. It is the Mother of Tears trilogy. I'm excited. So that is Suspiria, which so many people talk about. I have seen it. It is awesome. I have not seen the remake. Please do not talk to me about it because I'm not sure if I want to see it. Because I love the original so much. And then it is Inferno is the second one. And then the last one is, I'm sorry, The Mother of Tears. Okay, sorry. My director is like helping me a little bit because my brain, you know, sometimes it's like terrible. Anyways, so Argento, Mother of Tears trilogy. Probably the next at least 3 weeks, these will be the movies. All right, Suspiria, Inferno, and Mother of Tears. Gosh, guys, I've got to stop like recording these so late because my brain is just woof. Anyways, it's been fun. Go check out Satanic Rites of Dracula and Raygun. Raygun's free. It's free. Everybody likes free. You guys have a great weekend. Come back next week. And I think that's all I have to say. Bye.